Okay, so I just finished working out. So I'm a little bit sweaty, but I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm just feeling it. So I'm just gonna get this video in and I'm just gonna tell you about what I thought about episode 6 of Jenn Tran's journey on The Bachelorette. Okay, so let's get into it. So basically, to me, this episode had two parts. There, she had a second one-on-one with Marcus, and then the whole second part of the episode was just Sam M being very, very strange. And so let's just get into it. Okay, so, she also does a one-on-one with Jeremy, but I'm not even, who cares? We know she's not into him and it was boring. And anyway, he's getting the fourth hometown. It's crazy. It doesn't matter. Um, Everyone knows the fourth runner-up is bullshit. Okay, so unfortunately, she goes on this one-on-one. It's a very strange promo date for Wicked, for the musical Wicked with Marcus. We have a lot of cameos of Bachelorettes from seasons past. We have Daisy and Kelsey, Krista, the OG Bachelorette pops in. Charity has a cameo. And then they proceed to show them things that make them each cry. And then inexplicably, they have them make out in a pile of pillows in a town square, which I would end myself if I had to do that. It would be so embarrassing. But then they get into it. So then in the night portion, Marcus proceeds to tell Jenn the most devastating childhood trauma story maybe of all time, certainly for the franchise. He and his sister, when they were teeny tiny children, his parents just could not figure it out, and they took them to daycare one day and then just never returned. And then they went into the foster care system, and then they just, as he said, these prospective parents would just try them on and then decide they didn't want to be the parents to these two and then send them back to the foster. So not only were they abandoned by their real parents in a truly heinous way, but then they were abandoned over and over again by people they didn't even know. So, no wonder he turned to the army to find a beautiful fraternal brotherhood to make him feel like he was worth something. Oh my God. I mean, thank God his sister was with him. Can you imagine if they split them up, how even more devastating that story could have been? I'm so glad he at least has her. And then after telling this story, Jenn deigns to give him the rose, which it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, after telling that story, it's like, oh, we accept this rose. It's like, that is the most patronizing thing I've ever seen. And in fact, this is what I'm hoping and predicting happens, is that Jenn, we see that she does something that no Bachelorette has ever done before, and she says, I can't let you propose to me. And then a lot of people are speculating that it could be that she is going to propose to whoever is the last man standing. And I think that this would be a great time to propose to Marcus, because it's like, oh, over and over again, he's never been chosen. He's been trading on masculinity for survival, for brotherhood, for family his whole life. And then in an amazing twist, the Bachelorette proposes to him. I just think there's some real poetry there. I usually hate it when women propose to men. I am a little bit old-fashioned, but in this instance, I think it would be incredible to disarm this masculine American hero in this way. And anyway, I'll circle back to this. Anyway, so Marcus still my number one. I'll get into it more with predictions later. So, okay, so the rest of the episode is basically Sam having a meltdown. So they go on this radio show with Jubal and, oh gosh, it was like Our Heart Media, Jubal, and somebody in Seattle. And I tried to find this radio show. I really wanted to listen to it uncut, as they say, but I could not find it. Which was a bummer. So who knows if it was, they kept flashing the on-air sign. Maybe it wasn't on air at all. Maybe this was a fake radio show, but I would have really liked to hear it. But basically the bullet points are, they do a quick word association, and when they do fantasy suites to Sam, he says, the word he comes up with is aggressive. So like I said last week, Sam wants to wrap her up in a shades of gray dungeon and ravage her. He wants to get down. And then the other boys continue to name 3 nice adjectives about her, and they shower her with compliments. And then Sam can't think of anything except for the word selfless, but then it seems that he doesn't know what the word selfless means. She says, do you have an example of me being selfless? And then he says that she's either selfless or she's full of shit, and that there's no way she could stand up there in front of 25 men on the first night if she wasn't selfless. Maybe because he's just imagining them gangbanging her. Who knows? Then he says that she isn't really his type, that he thought that she was going to be Daisy or Maria, who I would think that all 3 of those women are different types, but I guess Daisy and Maria to his eyes are the same. Then he continues to get flustered. He says his love language is physical touch, and he proceeds to make out with her, which she looks absolutely thrilled about. Anyway, so she's not done with him. She confronts him at the cocktail party. And now he's into this. He's clearing his throat a lot. I don't know what that is telling us, but I don't think it's good. She keeps asking him. She's like, please just tell me can you just tell me one specific thing that you like about me, or that you admire about me, or just anything that you've learned about me at all. Just one thing. I think if he could have pulled one fact or detail that he had memorized from their time talking to each other, that he would have gotten a hometown, but he simply could not do it. He keeps melting down, and then he tells her that he loves her, and she's like, Sam. So she's clearly not buying it. Other things that happen at the cocktail party, one, which is important, Grant does share with her that he's falling for her, which is the beginning of the end for Grant, and then she tells Devin that she's falling in love with him. It's time for roses, but before roses, she is going to give Sam one more chance. She really wants it to work with him, and she's like, just maybe if he could just say one right thing, which I have definitely been there. If he could just say one right thing to redeem himself, he would level up. But instead, it just gets worse. And I wrote down some quotes here. He goes, I've been trying to walk this fine line of being vulnerable and protecting my feelings. For me, love is selfless. Love is sacrifice. Love is understanding and listening to the person who is in front of you, making sure this other person knows that you're the only person in the world that I see. It's like literally Jenn is asking him to prove that to her with his words, and he just can't. And then he goes, then he goes, having to put your feelings into words, this is not my strong suit. This is like the biggest learning curve for me right now. There's no words that I can say that can describe the love, because everything that comes out of my mouth, I feel like I'm downplaying the way that I actually love. I could go on about your passion for love, your desire for wanting a family, and these things that resonate with me. But the fact of the matter is that there's other people out there with the same characteristics as you. I've had those people in front of me. You ask me these questions. Hey, how do I know this? At me waiting for this, like these answers with words. Right? That's what he says. Anyway, so I think what he's trying to say, after kind of digesting this a little bit, I think what he's trying to say is, I don't know why I love you, but I do. And I've dated other women who want the same things as you, but for some reason, I'm feeling really strongly about this. And I think actually when she said the word ferocious love on the night one, I think that unlocked something in him, and that because I think what we're actually witnessing is like a full on projection. Like he's like, oh, okay, Jenn is sexy and she wants a family, and I like making out with her, so she's my dream woman. And he's not able to actually absorb any information about who she actually is as a person, because the projection is just so powerful onto her. And that's why he is just so being so messy. It's like I kind of believe him. Like I believe him that he feels like he loves her. I don't think he's full of shit. Like I think he actually does like her, but the reason that he likes her is not because of Jenn, it's because of the projection. But I don't think he's aware of any of this. Anyway, he also goes, your energy that night soothed my nerves. And then it gets crazy. The second time that I got to talk to you was at the next rose ceremony. I took the biggest breath of air and I felt life again. But really where everything switched for me was after the whole stripping thing. You're like pouring into my emotional part. So I think he really is like trying his best to communicate, but he's just not that in touch with himself. He continues to say, I learned that you yearn for love. That is so powerful. That's endless. First, you have no idea how much I appreciate you. I love you. And then he also says, you saw the best in me when I couldn't see it. It's like, what in his mind, like, did he have some sort of like, was he in some sort of rut that we didn't see, that she gave him a pep talk and helped him out of it? Like, I feel like it is truly like a fantasy projection onto her, and that's why he can't reflect back on any real tangible memories that he has with her, because it's all in his head. All this fantasy, all this love, it's just all in his head, and it's not real. But he doesn't know that it's not real. He thinks it's real. Anyway, so it's dawning on her that it is just a projection and that she could literally be anyone. And so she dumps him, and then he immediately walls up, shields up, and he says that she's dull. And then, and this is iconic, he says, one thing that I will stand 10 toes down on is that it is what it is. And he gives us one more. He's going to keep the main thing. I just think that is so funny. I will stand 10 toes down on it is what it is. That literally means nothing. It's amazing. So the Fallen, we go into the rose ceremony. Okay, so she sends Grant home. And I think what happens is, Grant told her that he was falling for her. And she was like, oh no, like, I know I'm not falling in love with him. I can't keep pulling this guy's chain along. So she lets him go. And she knows Jeremy, their connection between them is light and not heavy at all. And it wouldn't be a big deal, or as big of a deal, I don't think. She doesn't feel like it would be the repercussions dumping Jeremy will be as bad as the repercussions would have been if she had gone to Grant's home knowing that he's in love with her, etc., etc. Anyway, I hope I'm making sense. So anyway, but Grant is a bachelor, which I'm very excited about. They gave him a few very nice asides in this episode where he seemed very aware and cool, and he's just a cutie pie, and I think it's going to be really fun watching him because his face is beautiful. And then we say goodbye to Spencer, who unfortunately calls his mother, which, not hot, Spencer. I don't know why you let that happen. Not a good look. Anyway, so bye Grant, bye Spencer, but hello Grant for The Bachelor. Okay, so hometowns, we've got Marcus, got that one-on-one rose, Jeremy got his one-on-one rose, and Devin, of course, she's falling for him, and Jonathan rounding it out. I still think Marcus is here at the end. There's an image in the previews of Devin crying, and that it looks like breakup tears. Also, I think that if Marcus wasn't the winner, he would be the Bachelor. I mean, his story is just so captivating. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So they keep showing that he's unsure. So I think that's just a red herring. And I think he's actually very nervous because I think he actually is truly considering getting engaged to Jenn, in which case he is really scared because he's got, his life experience. He's got a lot to be scared for. He's got a lot, I get it. But, and this is very telling, he did tell her on the one-on-one date that he wanted to jump into the canyon of love with her. So I'm still betting on my horse, Marcus. I think Devin, I do think those are breakup tears in the preview. And I'm excited for hometowns. Let's hopefully we get some cunty ants like we got on Katie's season. That was the best. All right, that's it. That's it for me. I'll see you next week. Bye.